amount of fentanyl now off the streets.
This is KCAL News, Los Angeles.
Welcome to KCAL News at 11 on CBS Los Angeles and streaming on CBS News Los Angeles. I'm Christine Lazar in for Jamie Yukas. And here's a live look outside from the Santa Monica Pier. You can see all of those clouds. It is a gloomy day and it will also be wet across parts of Southern California. And we're expecting more rain over the next few days. We want to get right to meteorologist Paul Diano and next weather. And Paul, this is just the beginning.
Just the beginning, and yeah, the flooding potential is tomorrow night and Thursday morning. That could potentially be too much rain too quickly. Today, it is waves of rain moving through, and boy, is it different than yesterday. Yesterday, we were pushing 70 degrees at this time. Today, we're not going to get out of the 50s in many locations. Couple spots I want to highlight. One, where it is raining right now. Along the 118 through the northern half of the San Fernando Valley, stretching north into Santa Clarita, west to Simi Valley, and also Moore Park. But that came up from the south and areas to the south, Orange County and the Inland Empire. You were really soggy around 6 or 7 o'clock this morning. You are getting a break from the rain right now. So it's not going to rain everywhere today. It will come through in waves. Malibu, one wave just moved through. That's why our camera has a few drips of rain on it. And it's actually cooler now than it was at 5 o'clock in the morning. It is only 50 degrees right now in Malibu. It is a sweatshirt or jacket kind of day. So rain at times. Highs around 60 degrees. Many of us may not even get there. Inland Empire 57, and it's already snowing in the mountains. And later on this week, the snow level will drop all the way down to 3,000 feet. So no flooding today, but the flooding potential increases tomorrow. We'll talk about why coming up in a couple minutes. Back to you.
Paul, thank you. And the threat of more heavy rain has people living near burn scars on edge and preparing. Too much water can trigger debris flows and mudslides. KCAL News reporter Luzdelia Caballero shows us how they're getting ready in Sierra Madre.
People here in Sierra Madre have prepared as much as they can ahead of the storm. And that's because we really just don't know how heavy this rain is going to get and what that's going to trigger. So for the time being, this is what we see a lot of on a lot of streets. So we see K-rails, we also see sandbags and even wood planks in front of homes to prevent that mud and debris flow from getting in. The last big storm triggered mudslides in this area. It was flowing down the hillsides onto streets, trapping cars and leaving just a big mess behind. This is something that folks here are preparing for. This is why residents in the Eaton Fire Burn area have definitely taken all of the precautions necessary and are looking to the hillsides as this rain continues coming down.
Obviously, mudslides for people living in the higher elevations, it's, a concern, but this area is. You can tell as you look at the mountains that it's a dramatic change. There's not a lot of foliage up there, and so we're always concerned and just hopeful that the rain's going to be gentle.
Ahead of this storm, as with previous storms, the city has worked to put up K-rails, clear up debris, clean out catch basins, and make sure sandbags are available to residents in order to make sure the community is safe and ultimately prepared for the rain. And this storm is no exception. So people are vigilant, they are on high alert, and they are ready for things to change in a moment's notice. Reporting in Sierra Madre, Luzdelia Caballero, KCAL News.
And some developing news this morning. A huge drug bust leads to a massive seizure of deadly fentanyl. Assignment manager Mark Liu is at the desk with details from a news conference that just wrapped up. And Mark, we're talking about a lot of drugs.
A lot of drugs. This was a joint news conference between the California Attorney General's office, the LA County District Attorney, and the Downey Police Department, where they announced a major bust, arresting 3 people with Mexican cartel connections that had as much as $55 million worth of fentanyl in their possession. It is now all off the street. Take a listen to what California Attorney General Rob Bonta had to say about it in this news conference.
But we have to remain relentless in our life-saving efforts to combat illicit fentanyl, especially because for Americans age 18 to 45, the leading cause of death is fentanyl overdose. No community is untouched by this crisis, unfortunately. Rural or urban, high or low income, Republican or Democrat, children or adults, everyone's been touched. That's why we're taking action to prevent fentanyl from tearing more families apart.
Now, at this news conference, they did not have any photos of the seized fentanyl, so I went into our archive and found this file video of what fentanyl seizures have looked like over the last couple of years. In this particular case, Rob Bonta and LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman said this all started with a traffic stop by Downey PD where they pulled over a woman, a 43-year-old woman named Priscilla Gomez. Evidence in her car led them to search her apartment where they arrested her brother, a man named Gustavo Gomez. And another man, Carlos Mariscal, 35 years old of Huntington Park. Collectively, they had 45 pounds of powdered fentanyl among them, 10 pounds of heroin, 2 pounds of cocaine, and 2 firearm suppressors. Now, Nathan Hochman said that amount of powdered fentanyl was capable of being turned into 14 million lethal doses of fentanyl. That's enough for every person in Southern California. It is now off the street. These 3 suspects are now facing between 28 and 38 years in prison. And the DA says that when they go to court, they will show evidence that indicates that all of these drugs came into the United States from Mexican cartels. That is the very latest here from the desk. Send it back to you.
Wow, Mark, thank you. A series of walkouts are happening today to protest the arrest of a Palestinian protest leader from Columbia University. The Trump administration is attempting to deport that student while warning universities about anti-Semitism on campuses. Monday, hundreds gathered outside Columbia University in New York after Palestinian activist and graduate student Mahmoud Khalil was arrested by federal immigration agents at his apartment while he was with his pregnant wife. Khalil was an organizer and the face of the pro-Palestinian movement at Columbia last April. His attorney says federal agents were ordered to revoke his student visa, despite Khalil being a green card holder. Late yesterday, a judge blocked his deportation. This morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson spoke, supporting Khalil's arrest.
I appreciate free speech. I used to defend it in courts, but this is far beyond the pale of that. When you are threatening your classmates and spewing anti-Semitism and all this hatred, it's enough.
This week, UCLA announced a new anti-Semitism initiative on campus. Several local universities, including USC, Chapman, Pomona College, and Santa Monica College, received letters from the U.S. Department of Education saying they must protect Jewish students on campus or risk potential enforcement actions. Former Orange County Congresswoman Katie Porter wants to be our state's next governor. The Democratic lawmaker represented Orange County for 3 terms. She joins a growing field of candidates looking to follow Gavin Newsom, who's terming out. They include former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa and Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, as well as several others. One more possible candidate, former Vice President Kamala Harris. She recently said she will make a decision before the end of summer. A man who purposefully